Welcome, and this is our second podcast in the series of web weekends in the midst of this season. And so, as we mentioned last time, we're seeking to reduce the need for people to have to come together and create practice times, and so this gives us an opportunity to be able to do that. There's also the challenges of licensing of materials that we don't create, and so with that thought in mind, this helps us with that. Also gives you an opportunity, because we're posting this on Saturday evening, to be able to engage with this throughout the week at different points in time. You can engage with it on Sunday morning, and I would encourage you to do that if that would be helpful in your routine to engage at that time. So it's great to see you again. Welcome. In a few minutes we're going to share from Scripture, and over this period of time we're going to talk about some questions for discussion. Going to look at the potential of exploring a theme song for this week, and we're going to pray together, talk about some recommended links from our worship team, and share some information from our kids ministry, some links for further coaching and encouragement, some links to be able to connect to online giving through e-transfer and mail-in giving, as well as our e-bulletin. And just a reminder, if you're watching this on Facebook at any time, feel free to just jot in the comments, that you're watching, and that would be a great encouragement to know that you're checking in there. If you'd like to check in on YouTube, and if that's where you're watching, we're having some difficulty with the comments section. I mentioned that last week, that would be a way that we could intersect, but what we'll need to do is maybe refer that to our office at kschurch.ca. If you'd like to check in and let us know how things are going, that'd be a great opportunity to do that. And that would be the best tool, either in a private message on Facebook or with the office email, to be able to share prayer requests. There are opportunities through our website to be able to do that as well, and so let me encourage you down that line. Today we're going to talk about memories. And when we talk about memories and things we need to remember, sometimes we have cues, don't we? Like in your home, there may be things that are sitting on the shelf or things on the wall, maybe even some special items that are a part of different pieces of decor in your home that remind you of people or places or things that you've been a part of, and that's really cool. I've got this bracelet that was actually made by the Lakota peoples, and Val and I, back a number of years ago when we were living in Pennsylvania, we were a part of an excursion to South Dakota, and we were able to spend some time investing in kids on one of the reserves just outside of Rapid City. And so this particular bracelet reminds me of all of the events that were part of that. Things that were important leading up to it, people that were part of the trip, and memories that were a part of that whole excursion, and places that we saw, and things that we did. And we all have different kinds of memory markers in our lives, and they're important to us, and they can be critical in a season like this when it comes to our faith. When we think about our faith and we think about memory markers, it's pretty wild to realize that God recognizes how we need those kinds of things in our lives. In the book of Joshua, chapter 4, what's unfolding before us is the story of the people of Israel and how they have been in the desert for 40 years, and before that they've been in captivity in Egypt for almost 400 years. And so as they work through this whole process of moving to the promised land, this place where they know that life is going to be new, it's going to be different. The things that they're expecting, the things that they're looking forward to are all on the horizon. And they come to the Jordan River, and the Jordan River parts for them because of what God instructs them to do with the Ark of the Covenant and stepping into the water. And the water stops up, and the people run across what should be a flood stage river on dry ground. And when this happens, there's a moment that unfolds where Joshua, together with God, and reminds Joshua, he says, why don't you take some stones and make them as a memory marker? And so what Joshua did together with God was to take those stones and pile up 12 stones, one to represent one of each of the original family groups that were part of the people of Israel. And then they took those stones and piled them right in the center of the river near where the priests were holding the ark. Then they also took 12 more stones and put them on the shoreline. And when they set them up on the shoreline, they set them in a way so that they would be a memory marker for the people to be able to see, and then to be able to look down when the water was visible, when you could see through and be able to see that pile of stones in the water, and wonder, how did those stones get there? And the story of the memory marker of God parting the water and opening up the Jordan so that they could cross as they prepared to engage in the Promised Land was going to be a great memory marker for them. The interesting thing was that as they looked ahead at some of the things that were a part of the next number of chapters and the rest of the story, it's clear that they were going to need that moment, that memory marker. What happened next was a lot like what some of us are experiencing today. They were ready to go, and they wanted what was new and what was great and what could be next to be able to unfold. But God had a pause in mind for them. What happened was they got across the Jordan and they paused for a little bit to renew the covenant, to celebrate the Passover again for the first time in a long, long time. They also had an opportunity to renew the covenant in many ways with their own bodies. And that involved some surgery. And for all of the people who needed surgery, there was a long process of going through that, of healing up. And when they were ready to go and they were all set to jump in and take the Promised Land, there was this pause. And I'm sure they were wondering, how long is this going to be? And what's going on here? And how is this going to unfold? But it doesn't stop there. As they go to attack Jericho, the direction that they get to attack Jericho is to walk around the city one time every day for 6 different days, and then on the 7th day to walk around it 7 times, all in silence. And I'm sure when they were alone with their thoughts, they were scratching their heads inside thinking, how is this going to work? What is going on here? What are we doing? On the last day, they shouted, and it was clear what was happening then. As they shouted, the walls fell down, and they stepped in and took the city of Jericho. But what unfolded next wasn't anything short of challenging as well. They ran into the city of Ai, and in the city of Ai, they ran into some trouble. They were initially defeated in the midst of going in, and then they had an opportunity to be able to gain victory after they rectified their initial situation. Then the Gibeonites, another group of people that were in the neighborhood, they deceived them, and that didn't work out the way they wanted. There were numerous times where they needed to look back and see the memory of what God had been doing. The reminder of the goodness of God to help them cross into the Promised Land. Those memorial stones became increasingly important as time went by. Now, I don't know if there were times when, they were sitting around in the evening after they had been walking around the city of Jericho, and one of them may have turned to another and said, do you think this is going to work? Like, this is kind of crazy, don't you think? And I think the other one might have leaned over and said, yeah, but remember the stones. God got us across into the Promised Land through the Jordan River. Remember that? That's what we need to be reminded of, is that the goodness of God is going to continue to take care of us even when we have questions. We're going to make it. In the description of this video, if you're watching on YouTube, there are some questions that are in there, along with a variety of different links that are part of some things we're going to talk about in a few moments. But these questions really give you an opportunity in your home to have some discussion with the people that you're quarantined with, or maybe to even call a friend on the phone and have some kind of a chat related to these issues. If you're looking on Facebook, then in the video that you have, there is a link that is there that will take you to our Facebook page, Kingston Standard Church, and on that Facebook page there is a notes section, and in that you will find these questions as well. So let's get started. As you think about some of these questions, let me encourage you to discuss them with people that you have available to you. First off, what are some life moments that you can look to and recall the goodness of God? You know, the Israelites looked back on this moment where God helped them cross the Jordan River. And they did that, and they memorialized that with stones in the river and on the side. There may be some moments that are part of your recollection where the goodness of God was very evident to you, and you want to just take a moment and think about that and be reminded of the goodness of God in the midst of this time. Then secondly, are there any of those stories that maybe need to be shared? Are there conversations that need to have that could be encouraging with your family, with your friends, your neighbors, whoever it is that you come across, that you find an opportunity to be able to share the goodness of God and how God has taken care of you in the midst of challenging situations? And how can those moments encourage people who are questioning and asking, how is this going to work out? What's going on here? And will we be okay? And then thirdly, there are probably some goodness of God moments that are even unfolding for you since we've been quarantined. And as they unfold, it could be the kindness of a stranger. It could be the kindness of some people that you know. It could be the way that God has been working out details in your own personal situation, and you've been amazed at how they've played out. And you can continue to look to the goodness of God in small ways, or maybe even in large ways, as we walk through this time. Now the question would be, if there are some of those, what steps could you take to record them and to give God the credit as you move through this season? As a church, over this next week, we're going to be focusing on remembering. And in our posts that are coming on Cabin Kids, there are going to be some activities that relate to recording or looking back on things that we want to remember. And I'm going to encourage you in the links below to look up the song that is there for us. It's a song by an artist by the name of Daigle, and she has written a song called Remember. And it is a great song. I'd encourage you to listen to it, maybe even listen to it multiple times throughout this week. And as you find yourself in a place where you're needing encouragement, remember that God is in control, God is taking care, and there are moments that you can look to of His goodness that have happened in your personal history. And those can continue to be encouraging as you look toward the days that are uncertain ahead of us. As we take some time to pray together here over the next few minutes, I'm going to encourage you to maybe pause the video or take a few minutes and pray together as a family. However it is that you feel it's best to be able to do that in the setting that you find yourself in, wherever you're watching, let me encourage you to participate in that way. I want to encourage you to continue to be speaking calm and peace and life in the midst of daily situations. I want to encourage you to continue to look outside your own circle to your neighbors who are in need, to God's call to love people in the midst of this time where it's challenging, because we don't want to get too close, but yet at the same time we want to continue to breathe and live the goodness of God in every moment that we find ourselves in. And so as we pray today, we're going to continue to pray for our medical professionals and our emergency responders. We want to be continuing to pray for them as they serve and as they continue to find themselves on the front lines, some of whom are a part of our group in particular that are making decisions or are serving in assisting and comforting in different ways people who are ill in the midst of this time. And we want to be continuing to pray, as we mentioned last week, for our decision makers on a local and provincial and on a national and even on an international level, that clarity and wisdom will continue to prevail as we all walk this road together. For families who are walking through these days, people like you that are trying to sort out what are the healthy habits, what are the ways that you walk through a routine of being at home. And some are still going to work, trying to work out the details with kids. Some are dealing with life entirely at home, trying to figure out what it means to keep some kind of a semblance of a healthy routine in life. Let me encourage you as we're praying to continue to walk well in that respect. And as it relates to the vulnerable sector, people who are self-isolated because of health issues, or maybe they've been traveling and they find themselves in a place where for whatever reason they need a little bit extra assistance. And so folks that are in that kind of category that are wondering just how things are going to work out for them because of their vulnerabilities, we want to be praying for them as well. And for our ministry opportunities, and in particular a group that is developing in our midst called the Delivery Squad, and that's the name we have for them at this point. There's a group of people that are assisting some of our folks in dealing with some errands or grocery pickups along the way, to be able to facilitate a variety of different kinds of things for folks who may be in that vulnerable sector, or who may be in a position where they're unable to get out and travel at this point because of whatever reason may have unfolded. And so we're working together with folks along that line, and so we want to be praying for them. So I'm going to pause just for a moment and let you take a moment to pray, and then I'm going to close us in prayer. God, we come to you on behalf of all these requests that we've mentioned here, and as we kind of think about the folks who are in harm's way with our emergency services and healthcare, as we think about our decision makers, as we think about our families who are working through habits and routines, as we think about our vulnerable sector people and those who are self-isolated either for travel or health issues, as we think about ministry opportunities and people who are looking to serve, we thank you for the fact that in the midst of this, that you bring a purpose and an encouragement. And I pray that the goodness that you have shown us in the past would be what we would look to in the days, in this present time, and in the future as we continue to navigate this unprecedented season in our history. We have never walked through this personally. There are others who have walked through it in history, but we've never been part of it. And we have a lot of questions, and we have a lot of kind of pauses that are a part of our lives, and we're wondering how things are going to work out. And today, we commit ourselves to continue to look to your goodness, to look to who you are, to continue to remind us of how you're taking care, and that you're watching over us, and you're looking after all of our needs. We don't need to panic. We don't need to fret. We can continue to speak life, continue to speak calm, continue to speak peace, because that peace and that life really flows from who you are. And so today we thank you and we praise you. In your name I pray. Amen. If you're watching us on YouTube today, or if you've been watching on Facebook, or if you've linked to us somewhere along the way, there's a few self-directed study links that we want to draw your attention to, and so just over the next couple of minutes I want to point you in that direction. If you found us on YouTube, then let me encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that it can make it easier for you to find us in the future. And as you do that, there also is in the description of the video a variety of links that have been put there by our worship team, several songs that are for encouragement, songs that we would sing even here on a weekend. There is the theme song that I mentioned that you'll find linked there, and the questions for discussion, those are also listed there as well. There are some links to be able to continue to connect if you are not already receiving our e-bulletin, or if you'd like to give through e-giving, either with e-transfer or online giving or even mail-in giving. They will link you to the place where you can discover all the information that is necessary for you to know. Right Now Media is a resource that we're continuing to encourage you to look to, and there are ways for you to be able to sign up on the links that are a part of the YouTube channel there. And so let me encourage you to look down through that as well. There's an article that I posted on our Facebook site about keeping emotionally healthy during this time, and we've since discovered that this same article is broken out into 5 short videos, about 2 minutes long each, on each of the 5 areas related to emotional health. Those are in there for you as well, to be able to link to those and check them out. If you have kids at home and you're interested in dialing into some kids ministry options, there's a link there for preschool kids curriculum that's about a 25-minute engagement on YouTube, also for elementary kids, and one related to teenagers as well. I've also continued to give you a link to the Talking to Your Kids about coronavirus article that I had posted last week, as well as a link to our Cabin Kids Facebook page that is continuing to use the links every day and the ideas every day through the 5 days of the week, Monday through Friday, to relate to some activities at home. And with those activities this coming week, we're focusing specifically on remembering type activities. So as we kind of close this out, if you're watching on YouTube, you know that's in the description section. If you're watching on Facebook, click the link that's a part of this video, and that will take you to a notes section on our actual Facebook page, and you can like that Facebook page and grab that notes section. All of that is there, and in the notes section, each of those words like preschool, if you click on preschool, that will take you to the preschool curriculum. So the words are linked out there, fairly straightforward. If all of that sounds very confusing and you're familiar with being able to get to our website, the banners on our website are available to you. There's a banner there that says how you can link to our web weekends, and that will take you directly to YouTube. The next banner says what's next, and on that links you to all of the list of things that I've just mentioned as well. And so if you're more comfortable going through our website, that is the way that you can link to that information. That link will take you to a news and notes section of our website so that you can engage well. Thanks again for watching, and if you see this post and you want to just jot a comment to us on Facebook or send us some kind of a message through our office@kschurch.ca email address, that would be helpful. If you're looking to share a prayer request, let me continue to encourage you to do that. You can do that through our website. You can do that through sending us a direct email on office@kschurch.ca or a private message through Facebook. Farewell. We're going to be praying for you. We're praying for our community, and I trust that you're praying together for all of us as well. We love you, and I want to pass the grace and peace of Jesus on to you in the midst of this time. We'll see you soon, and we look forward to you following some of these little podcasts as we continue on in this season together. Have a great day.